All right, let's go ahead and get started. Um, my name is Mrs. Poziel. I'm principal at Millen Grove School, and I welcome you to our parent session this afternoon. I have two colleagues here with me, Ms. Ray and Mr. Jennings. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Mr. Jennings. I'm the Calvin Grove principal. I'm starting my 9th year here at KG.
And I'm Erin Ray. I'm the curriculum coordinator, and I am beginning my 5th year at D91.
So we know that you're here because you have questions, and we did create a resource this week for you to answer as many questions as possible, but it has a lot of information in it. We believe it answers most questions. We haven't received too many other questions that are not included in our survival guide. So if you want to use the chat feature and just say a couple of words about what your essential question is today, what you're here for, by the end of the session, we will make sure that we've answered everybody's questions, and we'll give a question and answer opportunity at the end. I'm sorry for my distraction. I'm trying to admit additional attendees. I'm going to just turn it over to Ms. Ray to get started so that I can continue monitoring the data. That's okay.
Thank you, Ms. Koziel. So we'll walk through our D91 Remote Learning Survival Guide, and you can continue to ask questions in the chat, and then by the end, we'll hope to have all of them answered. And then we'll also show you a few pieces on the website at the end. Yeah, you have to scroll down. Thank you. So the first thing that you'll notice is that we did have school supply pickup yesterday. If you did not come to the school to pick up your school supplies during supply pickup, and so those materials were things like a workbook for parents who still needed a Chromebook, please contact the school either today or Monday to arrange an opportunity to come and pick those materials up. We probably had, I would say maybe 30 families who still would need to pick those materials up. And if you could scroll down a little bit, or I could share if you need. So breakfast and lunch ordering. Breakfast and lunch order forms for the month of September are due on Monday, the 31st. There's a couple of different ways you can turn those in if you have not already done so. You can bring them to the school, yet today we're open until 4, or you can bring them on Monday. You can bring the money when you bring them. You can also use exact change if it's cash or a check. You can also pay online at ePay Illinois, and the links are right there here in our survival guide. You can also find these links on our website. So those lunches that you and breakfast that you would be ordering, while we are remote, you can pick those up and they will be distributed at Calvin Grove between 9 and 10 each morning. So if you're ordering lunch, you can pick up between 9 and 10 at Calvin Grove. So even if your child goes to Millen Grove, lunch pickup is at Calvin Grove. I do want to note that if you are a free and reduced lunch parent, you do have to fill out the form. Lunches aren't automatically ordered, even though you certainly do not need to pay. So you still want to order the form and make sure and get that turned in by the 31st.
Mrs. Ray, if I can jump in for a second.
Please.
Between 9 and 10 at Calvin Grove, you'll want to come to door number 9, which is located in the back of the building nearest the playground. It's the door that we did the supply pickup for, and that's where you will drive to get the meals during remote learning.
Are there any questions about meals before we move on to another section of our survival guide? All right, hearing none, we'll move forward. Mr. Jennings, did you want to talk about our help desk and the tech tools that we'll be presenting?
Certainly. So we will be holding a virtual help desk on Monday. I know that first day of school can be somewhat hectic, so the administrative team will have a Google Meet available. So if there is something that's not operating correctly or you have a question, the link is here on the Parent Survival Guide. You can also call in. You'll just need that PIN number to be able to access it, and you can do it through audio. But the parents really, the three main applications that we're going to use is or Google Apps for Education. So Google Classroom is where all of the students' assignments will be posted. The teachers will also be posting announcements in the Google Classroom, directions for the assignments, and also where the recordings will be located if they happen to not be able to log in during the live stream instruction. And that live stream instruction will be accomplished through Google Meet. Meet will be that video conferencing. We're using Zoom right now, but for all the students, we'll be using Google Meet. The other applications that we use as a district, Infinite Campus is the tool that we use for our online gradebook. So your child's grades will be visible in Infinite Campus. That is where really all of our database is. And then Parent Square is where the district will be sending out messages. And so that Google Classroom, once again, is where assignments will be. Google Meet is how we'll video conference. Infinite Campus is where to find those grades. And Parent Squares will be our messaging system through the administration and the grade level teams on keeping you updated as we progress through the school year.
So something, oh, go ahead, Mrs. Koziel. Mrs. Koziel, you're still on mute. Okay, so one of the things we want to highlight on this screen that we're on right now is that you have a link there to report a Chromebook issue. So that link would be the preferred link that you would click on if something happens. Like we had a parent call this morning and said that some keys were falling off their child's Chromebook that they picked up yesterday. So this would be you can certainly call the school and let us know. Probably whoever answers the phone may direct you to this form, but if you're having trouble filling out the form, we can fill it out for you. And certainly if it is an issue with the Chromebook that makes it inoperable where the child cannot use it that day for school, definitely call the school and we will direct you to come by the school and swap that Chromebook out for one that is operating so that your child can participate. And it looks like we have moved to a web page. I think we'll go back to, there we go. We're back to the survival guide. So we've also included 2 videos for you that were made from the Anywhere School. The Anywhere School is the arm of Google Education, where Google creates things for schools to use. So we've got 2 videos for you here. One is how to use Google Meet, which most of your children did today with their teacher during Meet the Teacher. And the other one is for Classroom. So we may want to right now watch the one for Google Classroom. I think that's probably a good idea.
Yes, I will do that. Ms. Ray, can you remind me of anything I need to do to share my audio?
So if you click up at the top, yep, you have a toolbar as the presenter, and your far left choice, if you open that menu, you want to click computer audio, I think is what it's called.
I am not seeing that, and I thought maybe it had been moved. So let me see if
Maybe it has been moved.
I don't know. We shall see in one moment, right? Let's just move past that for 1 second while I problem solve. I'm going to scroll back down. We can come back to that video.
We can definitely come back to that another time. So we've also got links here for the roadmap to reopening, which is the fairly lengthy document that our school board adopted as our roadmap to reopening. We also have a link to the remote learning plan, which has, information for you regarding what to expect from the teachers in the Google Classroom, and also what to expect as services that the school can provide to you during this. Well, it looks like perfect. So both documents are fairly lengthy. We won't go over them now, but they are linked here on our survival guide for you, so you have access to them.
And I did find that button. It wasn't a place I was not expecting it to be, so thank you all for being patient with me.
I think that was pretty quick.
Google Classroom is an online learning tool at the center of many students' educational experience. Classroom helps teachers create, review, and organize assignments easily, and it helps students and teachers communicate directly online. Classroom can help students track their class assignments, and it's also a reliable way for students to stay updated on class announcements, new assignments, grades, and a lot more. Teachers use Classroom to post and grade assignments and to give feedback to students on those assignments. Teachers can also use it to link to resources like videos and handouts. Classroom is a part of G Suite for Education, a free set of tools that also includes Google Docs, Meet, Slides, Drive, and more. All of the G Suite tools are integrated into Classroom, so students can complete work. It's one place to keep everything organized. When a teacher creates a new class in Classroom, it automatically creates a class Google Calendar and Drive folder where all assignments will be posted and stored. Once a student enters a class, they'll see a few different pages. The Stream page is where students and teachers can ask questions and communicate. It has all of the announcements made by the teacher, and it also has places for your student to submit their upcoming work and a way to make Google Meet calls with the teacher. And then there's the classwork page, where students can view all of their assignments, quizzes, and course materials. There's also a to-do page, which is an easy place for students to see what work is due and when. There's no parental login for Google Classroom, but you can opt in to an email program for guardians, where you can get weekly or daily updates on assignments and learn about what your student is working on. Those emails include a summary of missing work and upcoming work, as well as class announcements, assignments, and questions. If you aren't getting these Guardian summaries, check with your child's teacher to make sure they have them turned on. If you have more specific questions about Classroom, check out the links below to learn more.
Thank you, Mrs. Kosiel. Are there any questions about Google Classroom before we move on?
Other than a million, right? Everybody is wondering how much will go, and will your child be successful, and will you have technology issues? And again, that's why we're really here to help you. You don't have to be an expert before Monday. You don't have to try to get your doctorate in Google over the weekend. It's a learning process for us all. If I could speak for the district's teachers, I think what they would want you to know most is they are so committed to making this a good experience for you and your children, but they know they're going to make mistakes with technology, and they know you're going to make mistakes with technology. So if we can agree on one thing over the next week, is let's give each other a lot of grace and a lot of patience and answer as many questions as we possibly can moving forward. We're in Parent University now. I know Ms. Ray can talk about her vision for Parent Universities over the next month. I know we want to be responsive to your ideas and your needs.
So we want to hold our parent universities roughly every other week, and we really want them to be responsive to you all and your needs. So if everyone is struggling with a similar topic, let's say everyone is struggling to use Cami to fill out a form for their classes, then we'll make that a topic for one of our parent universities. We've already been collecting answers from our previous parent universities, and we've added those to a Q&A document that is on our website, and we can show you where that's at as well when that's live. We also, do we have a question?
Hello.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just sorry. I apologize because I have trouble to log in.
Did you have trouble logging into the Google Meet?
Yeah, I have to do everything.
So what grade level is your student in?
I think he just starting pre-K learning.
He's starting pre-K? Okay, so for the guys, logging into Google Meet is going to be very, very hard. I think what I'd like to do is when the parent university is over, would it be okay if I gave you a phone call and we walked through it together?
Okay.
Because normally I say, let me talk to the kid and I'll walk the little guy through it. But for our 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, that's a lot harder. I'm going to go ahead and give you a call. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Fantastic.
We couldn't get on either today. We had issues. The first meeting we had at 1 o'clock, it wouldn't let us get on with this computer. He had to use my phone and then it let us on. But then we had a 1:20 meeting and there were like 5 other kids. We tried a half an hour, we couldn't get on.
So
phone.
Mrs. Koziel, would you give me permission to share my screen real quick and I will walk through how to join that class meet one time?
Okay.
All right. Okay, so if I'm going to show you from start to finish.
Okay. Sorry.
You're going to have an opening landing page here on a Chrome browser. And then the next thing you're going to do, now I have to switch accounts, but your child is already going to be logged into their own account. So I'm going to switch accounts. And then you click on the waffle, it's called, but it's the Google Apps. And then you're going to scroll down to Classroom. For me, it's right up front because I log into this a lot. Until you log in a lot, it may be further down. Let's see, you're going to click Classroom. And then all of your child's classrooms will load. And my encouragement would be that you walk through this with your child and have him or her do the clicking. So then you click on the classroom that you want to join, and you're going to click on that. And right up here at the top, so it's always going to be in this colorful box. Sometimes this box is purple, sometimes it's green, sometimes there are stars in it, sometimes there are artwork in it. For this one, there's dogs, and here is the meet link right here. Sometimes teachers will assign different meet links, and when they do that, it might be down here in the stream, or it might be over here in classwork, especially if they're assigning that Google Meet link to just 1 or 2 students. Any questions on how you get into those Google Meets from the Google Classroom?
No, that's exactly what we did. And we tried on the phone, the computer, and so were the other kids. We just couldn't get on it, but we did exactly that.
I wonder if it might have been an internet issue, but I definitely think it would be worth you giving us a phone call and maybe we can troubleshoot individually.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Koziel, you're still on mute.
I'll get it together today. If somebody is having problems on Monday morning, that's why we have that help desk. There is a Google Meet link, but you'll notice there's also a phone number to it. So just so you know, you'll be able to patch into us even if you just dial the phone number. You do not need to know how to use Google Meet to get help with Google Meet. You can definitely use the phone number. The three of us, Mr. Jennings, Ms. Ray, and myself, will be there manning it. Depending on how many people we have to help at one time, there might be a little bit of a queue, but it is our goal that every child be in the right classroom at nearly the right time on Monday morning. All right. We have several chats. We'll get to those in just one moment. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen one more time. And we're just going to talk for a minute about what we've been doing all summer. Preparing for this fall really started last spring, and it continued all summer long. So Mrs. Gray, actually our superintendent, sent me over this picture to just show Kelvin and its beautiful gleaming hallways that we certainly wish students were walking down right now. We've put social distance markings already all around the school. We've already set up our classrooms for the potential of in-person attendance. We certainly have, this is a picture of Mrs. Preboy's classroom. Our technology director, Mr. Kincaid, set all the classrooms up nicely, but she realized that she wanted to talk to her students nice and close. So she made herself almost like a little television studio. And so I think what you'll be seeing from us over the next few weeks is just learning what your kids need from us and responding to those needs. And so communicate with us and give us that feedback constructively would be appreciated, and we will respond. Superintendent Gray has issued a health letter. Everybody did get it through Parent Square, but it's here as well. And it talks about some of the new requirements that IDPH and other organizations have put into place regarding how we deal with COVID-like symptoms, whether it's for us as a staff or when we are able to resume any manner of in-person attendance. And as I'm sure all of you are aware, many local schools that had anticipated being back in a blended or a full program have changed their minds over the past few weeks, with only a few left standing because of all the new requirements. We want to let you know that D91 is on top of these requirements, and we feel that we have all the pieces in place in order to open for remote learning. The thing that is not in place are the community numbers right now. The idea that Will County is on additional restrictions due to our high numbers is a concern. It would pose a concern if we were looking to go in person right now. However, we're not going in person for a little over 4 weeks. And so we know that our community can support us in our goal of opening for blended learning by taking action and making sure to take responsible action to make sure that our community's numbers do decline. We have some resources here in the document. There's a video, and there's also some information about how to select a mask, how to fit a mask, if you're still thinking about how your child would wear a mask before coming back to school for in-person experiences. Ms. Ray, Mr. Jennings.
All right, so do we want to take a look at the D91 staff directory and talk a little bit about some of the staff changes that we've had at the beginning of this year?
Sure.
So we have a brand new kindergarten teacher. Her name is Mrs. Richardson. We have a third grade teacher who is now a first grade teacher. Ms. Lyons made that move. Mrs. Dragish, the school secretary at Millen Grove, is now working a half a day at Kelvin Grove in the registrar's office. And replacing her when she is over at Calvin Grove in the registrar's office is Ms. Linda Brewer. John, do you want to talk about any changes to staff in your building?
Certainly. We have a brand new 8th grade math teacher, Miss Jill Berg. So she's part of that team. We have a new LASIK Academy teacher. His name is Mr. Ryan Whitcomb. We have a couple of student teachers in the building in our 4th and 5th grade, and we also have 3 social work interns working with Mrs. Henderson this year. So that's a couple of our new staff members that we have.
In addition to staff directory, our website has a ton of information on it. So let's go ahead and look at our website really quickly, because most questions, if it's not answered in the guide, can be answered by utilizing the website. Here we're at our homepage, and you can see that Mrs. Bremer has done a lot. There's information about the parent university, the help desk that's upcoming. So let's say you can't find your parent square, you can't go, you don't know how to get to the s'more, just go to our webpage, and all that information is on there as well, in addition to the meal program. Quick links for remote learning are still there. We know that they hadn't been updated through most of the summer, but they've all been updated recently. Again, as Ms. Ray said before, there's a link to the Chromebook repair. So not only is it in the survival guide, but it's also on our website. Calendar, community resources, the link to the staff directory, our remote learning plan. They're very, very similar documents. They're just, one was very mobile friendly and can be texted, and the other, we can't force you to go there and navigate, but it's there for your navigation. Anything to add about the website? Any other places I should tool around here?
I would say the parent learning resources. Why don't you open that one? There is, once again, all sorts of different tips for Chromebooks. In our survival guide, we also have the different websites for the online curricula that are used between both buildings. And most of the staff websites also include these links, but there is one, and that's the educational resources there, that we'll have certainly for Go Math, Super Kids, Sadlier, STEM Scopes, Discovery Education. Those are the online platforms that will be linked to most frequently when students access some of the resources on their Google Classrooms. Those are the online platforms that teachers will link back to.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings. Let's go ahead and check the chat if that's okay. We'll see what kind of questions we have going on. All right, the first question we have is, will there be daily classes? How will they be delivered, and what will the hours be? So yes, there will be daily classes in remote learning. There is one schedule for Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and there's a different schedule for Wednesdays. The key difference between the schedules is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, the bulk of the contact is going to be with the academic teachers or the homeroom teacher if they're K through 5, with more minimal contact from specials. And on Wednesday, it's flipped a little bit. They're still having a lot of contact with their homeroom or academic teachers, but it's more of a connection, discussion, extending the learning, and then they're having a little bit more connection with their specials teachers in grades K through 5. The hours, all school hours are between 8:30 and 3, and each grade level team is sending out their schedule. So everyone is between 8:30 and 3, but the synchronous or the live sessions where they're actually going to be in with their teachers may differ child to child. It's on a team basis. And everything will be delivered via Google Classroom. So they're using that as the hub, and the meet links, the activity links, all of those things will be contained inside of Google Classroom. Another question we have, will teachers be updating grades daily or weekly so parents know students' progress? Mr. Jennings, would you like to speak about that?
Sure. Once again, Infinite Campus is the tool that you'll want to use to look at those updated grades. And to answer the question, teachers will be updating grades on a daily basis. So the students will have the opportunity to get those completed. Each individual assignment will have a due date associated with it. It's not necessarily like we had in the spring where assignments had to be due by 9 p.m. that day. They'll each have an individual assignment. Some might be longer. So it's more of a traditional system of assignments and grading. And so we do have a grading scale. Each student will be getting letter grades if that class is a graded class. Some classes are just satisfactory or unsatisfactory, or some are standards-based, and so they'll get progress on skills, as happens oftentimes in some of the younger grade levels at Mill and Grove. But teachers will be updating, and parents can see that information as it's updated in Infinite Campus. And that's the same login that you used when you registered your child if they're a returning student.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings. I did write myself a note that I will add a link to Infinite Campus and our grading scale to our survival guide, because those could be pertinent for certain families that are interested in that information. So as soon as we're done today, I'll go ahead and put those links up there. I had a statement more than a question. We already had issues to get on the meetings today. We definitely know that. I know at Millen, we were working for a solid hour answering phone calls, monitoring our parent square messages, and trying to make sure that everybody got on. So we are aware that there were a lot of issues getting into the meetings. As Ms. Ray said, a lot of them were the kids hadn't signed into Google. And I just want to reiterate that our Google Meet links are secure. They're secure to the children, they're secure to the classroom. So if the child is not logged in using their D91 credentials, they will not be able to access any of the learning tools. They will not be able to get into the Google Classroom, and they will not be able to get into any of the Google Meets. So the links that are in the Google Classroom, a parent can't click on them on their phone unless they're logged in as the child. I do want to remind everyone, our user agreement basically says those Google Meets are for children, and children, it's for children interacting with children and the teachers interacting. So I want to be very cautious about recommending that parents log in as their children on other devices, because that's a direct link into our classrooms. And so you're going to want to make sure that your child practices logging in and understands navigating that little waffle at the top to get themselves where they need to go. If you have a caretaker at home taking care of your child, you're definitely going to want to empower that caretaker to know those steps as well. Already today that happened. The parent is like super tech savvy, and the child is in the care of somebody who is lacking some tech skills, and that caused some of the issues today. Again, we're going to have the help desk on Monday, and we'll help you any day, but you need to call our school office to give us a heads up there's a problem, or call my line directly, or Ms. Ray directly, or Mr. Jennings directly. And we can put you in touch with someone, even if we're helping someone else. The next question we have is, do I get an email from each teacher? How often should I expect them? clarification on what is meant by our website. Do you mean D91.net? And some trouble with admission. So I'm glad that the idea of the emails from teachers was brought up. We know that one of the weaknesses in using Google Classroom is it generates a lot of notifications, and that can be cumbersome. Google is aware of that, and if you watch any video on the Anywhere School, which is the Google tools, you will know that their developers are working round the clock to streamline tools, and they have a schedule of rolling out some of these features over the next few weeks that will greatly enhance our experience. So we're anxious to see if there's some more streamlined communication tools. I would encourage you to email your child's teacher specifically about how often you should expect to receive communications at the classroom level. And I'm sure our teachers are getting just as many inquiries as we are right now. Again, like we started the meeting, let's give some grace and some patience, and I'm sure that they're going to work at responding to everyone. If it's anything like my experience this afternoon, it was a bit of a flood, and there's only so fast one's fingers can move in response. Another question is, how will we know if kids actually do go back to hybrid learning, what days they're going to go? A parent is concerned about matching up with the high school. So the other day, maybe just yesterday, you would have received a letter in Parent Square that had your children's username and password. It also would have had a homeroom assignment, and it would have also had them in green, gold, or white. Green is a Monday, Thursday schedule. Gold is a Tuesday, Friday schedule. And white is a student who's remaining in person. So you can go ahead and check that assignment, and then you would know that your child's schedule aligns with the high school.
And the district's goal, we've communicated that we would like to have that decision if we're able to move into that blended by the middle of September, so that everyone will know if we need to push back or continue remotely or be able to go in person.
One parent wrote that her waffle, the little Google apps, I call it like the 9 square, it's like all those little squares in a row, doesn't have a classroom app. I will double check that. If you would do me a favor and check your child's waffle app, and if that is an issue, email your building principal. If your child doesn't have Google Classroom or access to Google Classroom, we'll help you with that. Yeah. We can't problem solve on non-student accounts. We can only problem solve on student accounts.
Mrs. Koziel, I can talk to that.
Sure.
As a teacher in another district, if you can't find Classroom in the waffle, you can scroll all the way down and it will say more available in G Suite, and then you can do a search for Google Classroom and click there.
Yeah, that's where I was confused. I had the app, there's a waffle that says apps on the toolbar, and that's not the same as a Google account waffle. There's two, that's the one that's full of colors is different than the one that's black and white.
Right. Yeah, that's, and we should have clarified that in the
I got that message.
You were clicking on the grayscale one, the one that was on the right-hand side in our tutorial. You're absolutely right. They are different. Thank you, Mrs. Stokey. I appreciate that, because I have never clicked that and not found Google Classroom. It's like my top one almost.
Sure, anytime.
Thank you. We had a parent who said that their experience today was that the child needed to use the emailed link, not the class meet link. They should have been the same. Our understanding was that teachers were copying and pasting it into the link, but we could clarify that with the individual teacher. Another question is, what time does the child need to be logged in by? 9:30 was what my kids told me, and I wanted to make sure that that is correct. This is not a Millen parent, but I will say if a Millen parent or a Millen child has told you that, they have lied to you, because all of our teachers have sent you a schedule in Parent Square, and none of them start their lives as late as 9:30. It is possible, depending on the grade level in another grade, that is likely, or 9:30 is the right time. Mr. Jennings, do you have any insight as to whether 9:30 would be the right time at any grade level?
It would depend on the grade level. So some of our grade levels have PE or exploratory to start the day. But 9:30 would be their first core class. So they would still have to be logged in. And I would assume that that's possibly an 8th grade. And so 8:30 to 9 would be the PE time. But then at 9 o'clock would be their exploratory time, which they should be logged in for.
Another question was, when will we get times sent to us? From Millen, I have personally checked, and all the teachers have sent out the schedule for next week. Our expectation of the teachers was by the end of the business day today, which would be 3:30 today.
Mrs. Cosiel, I want to go back and add something to the parent who asked about which website. Are you talking about D91?
Yes.
Would you navigate on the D91 website to the tab at the top that says remote learning?
I think I'm there, aren't I? No?
Just click on it again.
Sure thing.
And then the button that says parent learning resources, that button was broken a few moments ago. And
Thank you for fixing it.
I had Mrs. Brummer in the library fix it. So I'm so thankful for her, because I was worried that question came from when Mr. Jennings was talking about how you would get on Go Math and Sadlier and all of those items that, oh, of course the parent can't find it because it's broken. So that is the part of the web page where you will click on all of those. So if a teacher says, go on Go Math or go on Sadlier or log into My World, these are where all those logins are. And for every single one of those tools, except Super Kids, which I'll talk about in a moment, your child will use their username for D91 and their password for D91. So the same username and password that they log into their Chromebook with, they will use for those platforms as well. So they'll be able to get into those. It's not a separate username and password. Now, Super Kids, because most of the kids that use Super Kids cannot read yet, like our kindergartners, they just have a little icon that they click on that is their password. For some of it's a bear. For some of them, it's a saxophone, and their teacher will tell them about that, and they will not be logging in for probably several weeks until then. So you don't have to worry about that one. But I did want to let everybody know, since that was broken until a few minutes ago.
Thank you. And I will double check. I noticed early in our presentation when I clicked on it from the survival guide, it didn't work. So I'll make sure that that's prepared in the survival guide as well.
Thank you.
No problem. The next question, Ms. Ray, I'll let you speak to it. If we have multiple children and need to switch apps or there's transition, will they be penalized for the delay?
Oh, so if a parent is at home helping their 4th grader and their set of twins in 1st grade, and so they're juggling 3 kids, no, the teachers are going to give you a ton of grace. So if there's a kid that's 5 minutes late because mom was helping the other child to get on and now she's helping you, there will be lots of grace. I do have hope that the children will become really, self-sufficient on their own. I think after doing this for 30 or 40 days on their remote days that they'll get pretty good at it. But we do know, just like today, that there will be some issues. We do encourage children when their live session starts. So for example, if it starts at 8:45, we would encourage those children to be prepared to log in at 8:40 so that they have that 5 minutes of leeway for any issues. But we're very thankful to you moms and dads and caregivers at home that are assisting these children, and we're going to give you the same amount of grace that we would want someone to give us.
Is there a question?
Chromebook is at 5%.
Can you say that one more time?
The Chromebook is at 5%.
Can you log it? Can you plug it in?
Sure. Then we have to go to my bedroom.
And if you can't, Chromebooks have great batteries, so hopefully we'll be done talking and we won't use up 5% more. I did have a question in the chat about, can I say the names that go along with the colors again? So I put that in the chat for everyone to see. I just want to clarify that those are only for blended learning. Those colors only matter when we return on site. For now, the color groups really have no bearing on the next 4 weeks. Every child will attend in some way, shape, or form every day based on that schedule. So yes, you can definitely double check to see when we're to blended, what schedule will your child be on, but there is 0% chance that that will happen before September 28th. The next question is, I'm sorry, there's some comments. I'm going through. Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry. I was distracted. When I said that, I did not mean to liars. I know I said that they're lying to you. I agree. I should have given them grace. There was a comment that just mentions that that wasn't great verbiage on my part, and I apologize for it. I have middle schooler and high schoolers, and that's just the language I use with them. The question is about children who are enrolled in concert band. What time does band start? Mr. Jennings, can you talk a little bit about band?
Band schedule, Mrs. Plagman will be sending out during the remote learning period, so this first month, students will have individual lessons. When we do start in person, there will be small ensembles that will meet together, and those will rotate. But the earliest band time will be 7:45, similar to our concert band time that we did have in-person instruction. But once again, Mrs. Plagman will send out that individual lesson time, because during remote with the Google Meet, you can't have really multiple people because there's a lag that occurs. And so they will be scheduled a half-hour time individually during the remote, and then they'll be rotating through a couple of different periods during the day once we have kids in the building.
Mr. Jennings, I think the next question is also for you, only because I think it's a middle school question. It's, what is Homeroom Live? How do we know what teacher this is? What is LRC Live? Do they have to go to that? I can answer from the elementary standpoint. Homeroom Live would always be with the homeroom teacher, and the LRC is going to be Mrs. Bremer at KG or with Mrs. Tamino at MG. But I think that question about Homeroom Live, how do we know the teacher, it must be a middle school question.
And the Homeroom Live would be that advisory teacher at the end of the day. That's who they would be checking with on Wednesday during Homeroom Live. And then the LRC Live is specific for each of the different grade levels. And so Mrs. Bremer has a specific Google Classroom for each of the grade levels to have their library time on Wednesday.
All right, let me see here if we have more. Office hours, are they just if the students need help? That would be correct. Office hours are meant for students to be able to get some assistance in a smaller environment. If there's 25 kids and everybody's required to be there, but 20 of them don't have questions, it won't be as productive as if only of the 5 that need help come. Is that your understanding at Calvin as well?
That is correct. And so they can pop in with any of the core teachers that they need assistance with the content areas. So there'll be open meeting links for those kids to pop in and ask questions.
Mr. Jennings, another middle school question. I think it's related to a schedule that lists courses as core 1, 2, 3, etc. And they wanted to know, how do they know which class is core 1, 2, 3, etc.?
That would be in Infinite Campus. If you log into Infinite Campus and go to the schedule, just make sure that you are in the week that starts on Monday, August 31st. It will show the courses in chronological order. So the core 4 classes for junior high are ELA, math, science, and social studies. And so in Infinite Campus, it shows when those classes will occur.
Thank you. The next comment is related to receiving an invite for library. You may not have all the invitations. There was no meet the greet with the librarian today. We wanted just to focus on the homeroom teachers today. Library will start next week, and sometimes teachers schedule their posts in their classroom to go live at a certain time in the future. So you'll definitely want, when you get the invite to join the library classroom, to have your child accept it, number one. The core classes were like automatically populated to the kids. They didn't have to do anything to get in. But the supplemental classes are not as automatic like library. So the child will have to accept the invitation from the library to join, and then they'll have to go in on their schedule. And again, we don't expect that kids are going to navigate every aspect perfectly in the beginning. If they have missed a session that is attendance is being taken from, we're going to respond and let you know that they had missed and give them time to kind of correct that going forward, offer an explanation. There might even be internet connectivity issues. It might not be a matter of the child forgot. It might be a matter, this happened to my kids last week. It was one of the first days of remote learning, and all the internet in my neighborhood went down. And I was surprised to get a call so fast from the dean, but they exempted my sons from having missed the 2 periods of the day, and we moved forward. And we expect to be interacting similarly with you. We want to help you work on problems, and this first week, there will be a lot of just navigation learning curves. When will 6th grade need gym uniforms?
Make sure. They will only need uniforms when we are in person and able to have more than 50 people in a room. So really, until we're more or have less restrictions on the number of students that we're allowed to have in one area at a time. So at this point, gym uniforms are not needed to be purchased at Sports Huddle. We'll give parents plenty of time to be able to order those. But even when we start the blended learning in September, uniforms will not be necessary because we will not have the locker rooms or lockers available for students.
The next question is for Millen, but it might apply to any grade level. When my daughter logs in by 8:40 on Monday, which link is she going to for Millen? Homeroom? I am going to guess based on the parent's name and the time that we're talking about 2nd grade. I apologize if I'm wrong, but the child will go to the homeroom listed. So if it says it's homeroom at 8:40, then they would go to homeroom. If it says it's like ELA or reading at 8:40, they would go to the reading classroom. If it says that it's science or social studies or math, they're going to look for the classrooms that are titled to the subject that corresponds to the schedule. Then we'll different. Mr. Jennings had covered earlier for middle schoolers. It might have a period, and you're going to have to cross-check it with their schedule in Infinite Campus to know the period and be into the right classroom. I have schedules are not live in Infinite Campus. And the correction to looking at Infinite Campus is to look at the schedule that was emailed. Yes, if your middle schooler schedule was emailed, we were under the impression the schedules were live. I'm sure the second we hang up, we will be checking that as well. All right, we got 6 more, I think. Hold on, I'm scrolling to the bottom. Thanks for everyone who's hanging in. The question is Ms. Ray, if a student needs help understanding something in class, will they be able to either Zoom or email teachers when needed, or will there only be a specific day or time for that?
So students can email their teacher at any time to ask a question when they are struggling, when they're doing homework. Now, if it's late in the evening, you wouldn't expect the teacher to respond, but the teacher, will respond in a timely manner, probably within 24 hours, and let them know that they need that assistance. So I think that private email is probably the best way for a student to let the teacher know that they have a question, but certainly popping into that meet on those days when they have the office hour to get that individual help would also be helpful. Either way works.
And the way I think about that question is we have live sessions, and then we have independent work time, and then we go back to live sessions, and then we go back to independent work time. And I think Ms. Ray's answer is spot on, but it also changes by grade level. So obviously a first grade student who was in a reading live for a half an hour and is doing something independent for a little while and is offline, when they get to math, they're going right back to that same teacher. And so they're going to be able to say, oh, Mrs. O'Halloran, I didn't do that, I have a question. A middle school student is going to be a little bit different because that middle school student is leaving that teacher for the period and going to a different teacher. And that teacher is now going to be with a different group of kids. And so just to clarify, it might not be a full 24 hours if the question occurs during the school day. However, if the teacher is now with another group of kids live, they won't have any ability to attend to that child's question. And our teachers have never taught this way before. So they're going to have to find a flow that works for them. And again, I know it is every teacher's desire to respond as soon as possible. There's another question about Infinite Campus not being able to see schedules. As I said, we'll absolutely check into that and make sure whatever little switch needs to be toggled is. Thank yous, and to those I would say you're welcome. I know Mr. Jennings and Ms. Ray say you're welcome as well. It's the only bell that's still on all day. Will classes still be recorded? Yes, all the live sessions will be recorded. This session is being recorded. A note on the link, it's only going to be active for students who are logged into their student accounts. Will there be homework help available? That is not currently planned. When we do remote, we are offering a bridge program for students that did not finish their remote learning last year. And that is really going to take up our after school time, that accountability piece for the students that did not pass last year. We can look at services for students more widely after we complete that bridge program at the end of September. You guys are keeping me busy. I'm trying. All right.
You're doing great.
The login that I received for Infinite Campus doesn't work. The parent, I think that's my parent. Call me when we hang up. My extension is 2104. I will pick up and I will fix that for you. What time is the school day ending in terms of online and streaming? That's really dependent on the schedule that was sent to you. We were very clear with our teachers in please delineate what's going to be live and not live. And so all you would have to do is look at the schedule that your teacher shared, and you would see The last live instruction piece is the last time your child has to be on their computer for the day. It doesn't mean it's the last assignment. Again, the school day is 8:30 till 3 with some office hours buffering that at the end. So my best guess is it would be somewhere deep in the afternoon is going to be their last live session. You are welcome for this meeting. Will there be additional assistance for remote learning for students with IEPs? For students with IEPs or EL students or students who require extra assistance through 504s or other types of plans, even tier 2 and 3 students, there are our priority as we go back. We would like to see those students be on site possibly sooner than their peers and also attend more days. So yes, additional assistance for remote learning students with IEPs, just like we want the kids on site more if they're able to attend. If they're remote, we might have dedicated sessions just for remote learners so that that teacher can focus just on those remote students. How do we expect K-3 to sit through without distraction? We don't expect that. Our teachers have asked themselves those questions for the past several months. The short answer, and I'm not trying to be flip, is we don't expect that out of K-3 students. We want this experience to be developmentally appropriate. And while we put out a schedule, just so you could plan your day, if they're having the wiggles, we will release them from the live instruction, or we will acknowledge that, or we will alter our instruction in some way. We are not going to be a lecture hall expecting perfect sitting in, especially in K-3. Now, as students are older, there is going to be more expected of them. And I would also say the setting that students are in is going to be very important for how long they can attend. There's two pieces. There's stamina and there's setting. And so the setting includes engaging content and a professional teacher, and we'll provide those aspects of setting. But in terms of at home, they need a place free from distraction and a place that is their own. So definitely, we will definitely meet your children's developmental needs. All right, I think I got to the end. If I didn't read your question or I didn't read it right, go ahead and unmute yourself and tell me more.
Mrs. Koziel, I'm just going to jump in because I did check with our informational technology director. The schedules in Infinite Campus for Calvin Grove are live and viewable. Millen Grove, we have to enable those just because their schedules look a little bit different in Infinite Campus than they do at Calvin Grove. So we'll be working to get those live for Millen Grove as well.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings. All right, we're here. We want to make sure you have everything you need to not freak out all weekend and just be relaxed going into Monday. Let us know what information you need from us. All right, hearing none, we will stay until all of our participants have left. We understand that some people are not as comfortable as others asking questions in what feels like a public forum. So we three will be the last to leave. And I'm still hearing from a couple of parents through the chat that certain kids' schedules are not there. I will definitely have Mr. Jennings follow up. It looks like a middle school student. Someone missed the answer to the question on classes. Yes, they will be recorded.
Hello. I had a question. My daughter's school Chromebook, we logged into it, but like if she walks away from it and it times out, when we get logged back into it the next time, the windows that she had opened are now closed. Is there a way to change the settings in it so that she doesn't have to keep reopening her windows when she goes back into it?
So I'll go ahead and answer.
Okay.
So one of the reasons that the Chromebook battery does last so very long is because when it times out, it doesn't just go to sleep the way a laptop would. It essentially turns itself off. So, so she will probably get at reopening those windows, but the unfortunate answer is that she will have to, if she's gone for an amount of time that is long enough that allows it to shut itself down, she will have to reopen those windows when she returns. If she closes it and is only gone for a few moments, when she opens her Chromebook, it will open to where she left it if it's only a few moments.
Okay, thank you very much.